Welcome back. This is going to be probably our last video for AP statistics. And we're still kind of talking about personal finance here. And we'll talk about not only a few final personal finance topics, but maybe some things you can do in your lives to avoid financial catastrophe. Um,
Stocks.
Sorry?
Stocks. Stocks. That's all.
Stocks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
yes,
all.
absolutely. Okay, yeah, Teddy. Yeah, so I've got Teddy here to help us bring this home, and he may have some advice for us as well. Before I get started, I just want to thank a couple of you who had corresponded with me, either mail or email, and had just been very kind to me, and I thank you for that. Okay, so number one, and this is, you can think about this from a financial standpoint or just kind of a life standpoint, but either get a degree or have a plan for something else to do. Okay, if you don't know what you want to do right now, I highly advise you to enroll in college. Okay, in just a 4-year school. You don't have to declare a major yet. You can get your prerequisites out of the way and such. But enroll in college. You'll discover things while you're there on campus. You'll meet people who may be in programs that interest you. There are a lot of different ways you can fall into a field for you if you enroll in college. If you don't enroll in college and don't have a plan, I don't know. I don't know really what I do at this stage of the game. So either, and I know some of you know exactly what you're going to do, and that's absolutely wonderful. And I hope you get to go to college in the fall. Yeah, I really do. But no matter what, even if you don't get to go physically in the fall, they'll let you enroll, and eventually you'll get to campus. Hopefully this fall. So what other kind of plan could you have? Well, I talked to a recent MHS graduate about a month ago when the quarantine first started, and he had a job, and he didn't go to a 4-year school. He went to a 2-year school and didn't even get to finish that. But he's in a job where he makes just an incredible amount of money, and I mean, of course, I wouldn't let him. I didn't want him to tell me exactly how much he made, but he was talking to me about the 401k plan that they have there, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. An investment plan through your employer, and of course, the maximum that you can contribute to that plan is $19,500 a year for this year, and he realized that he was going to hit that in less than half a year with the amount that they were deducting for his paycheck. So I know when I was 20 years old, or however old that young man was, I was not maxing out my 401k, but he went into a very lucrative field where you can get a job without having a 4-year degree. But if that's not what you want to do, I recommend that you enroll in college. Okay, just to recap, just a couple things, all right? I hope everybody has already opened a local checking account, or now that things are maybe slightly opening back up a bit. If you haven't done that, you can do that. Now, the rest of these things you can do, though, without leaving your house, if you still don't want to leave your house. Open your online checking account, remember Ally Bank. Get a credit card, or at least apply for one. Hopefully you'll get one. Open a brokerage account. Okay, if you're 18, you can open a brokerage account. And then within that brokerage account, you're going to start a Roth IRA. Okay. All right. So now, what are you going to do to win the financial game of life? Well, here are kind of maybe a few steps you can take. Number one is to build up an emergency fund. Now, right now, your emergency fund might be your mom and dad. If you get an emergency, mom and dad will probably still help you out, and that'll probably still be true for the next several years. Teddy, you get in trouble, right now that dad will probably try to take care of it for you. But that's not always going to be the case. So, once you're out of college, you need to have a cash cushion on hand, for the flat tire, for the transmission that goes bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to, spend unexpected money on something, you don't want to have to, ask your relatives, when you're 25 years old, or, heaven forbid, go to a payday loan place.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, so have an emergency fund. How big? It depends on how secure your job is. I mean, if you know you're not going to lose your job, even in a pandemic, maybe you only need a few months of expenses, 2 or 3 months. But if your job is less secure and it is risky in the event of a recession or something like this again, maybe 6 months to a year's worth of cash in an emergency fund would be good. And that's not 6 months worth of income, it's 6 months worth of expenses. I mean, if you lose your job, you're probably going to cut back a little bit on your expenses. And of course, one of your biggest expenses is going to be saving for retirement. And you probably, if you lose your job, you might have to put that on pause for a few months until you get another one. Okay, so after you have an emergency fund, okay, anywhere from 2 to 6 months, maybe even 12 months worth of expenses in cash. Okay, after you've built that up, okay, next money would be to max out your Roth IRA. You can contribute up to $6,000 a year. Okay, as long as you make at least $6,000 a year, and just buy an S&P 500 index fund if you want to, or if you want to dabble in individual stocks, that's fine too. But the point of this is not what to buy and everything; it's where to put the first money that you set aside for savings. Okay, first it goes to an emergency fund. Once that's filled up, the next money goes into the Roth IRA. Okay, until you've maxed that out. After that, okay, then once you're out of college, or maybe even while you're in college, you'll work at a job that either offers a 401k or a 403b, where they deduct money from your paycheck pre-tax. Okay, and you can choose what you invest it in. You can invest it in the same sort of investments that you do in a Roth IRA, S&P 500 index fund. Okay. 401k is usually for private companies. 403b is usually for public service. Teachers, for instance, can invest in a 403b. They're essentially the same. A 401k and a 403b are essentially the same. Now, the only time that you would want to differ from the steps I've lined out so far, where it goes emergency fund and Roth IRA and 401k, is if your employer offers a match. And then after you have an emergency fund filled, you would want to at least invest enough into that 401k to get the employer match. And what I mean by employer match, sometimes an employer might say, okay, whatever you put in up to 3% of your salary, they will match that. Okay, so it's essentially free money. Okay, you don't want to turn that down. Okay, so if your 401k or 403bs don't usually have a match, but 401k sometimes will, and you can contribute enough at least to get the full match. Then start with your Roth IRA. Then once your Roth IRA is maxed out, start again with the 401k. And I mentioned this before, $19,500 annually is the maximum you can contribute to either a 401k or a 403b. But you can do that on top of the Roth. Okay, so that gets you up to, $25,500 that you can invest in tax-advantaged savings vehicles. Then max out your HSA if possible. If your employer, once you get out in the real world, offers a health savings account insurance plan, that's the way to go for almost everybody. Okay, and you can contribute $3,550 this year. It'll be a little more by the time you're out on your own. They usually increase those contribution limits for all three of the investment vehicles that I'm talking about over time. So max that out. That's HSA money is the most tax advantaged money in the United States, really. You don't pay taxes going in, and if you spend it on medical expenses, you don't pay taxes when it goes back out. And then if you've filled up all of those, okay, emergency fund, Roth IRA, 403b or 401k, and HSA, then a taxable brokerage account might be the best place to invest any excess money that you want to save. But just those savings vehicles alone get you to, let's see, $25,500 plus $35,550. You're talking over $29,000 already. Okay, before you have to start investing in a taxable brokerage account. All right, just a quick scenario here. If you say start now, you're 18, invest $100 for 5 years. Sorry, let me clarify, $100 a month. Okay, Surely we can all get a job that will make enough to where we can save $100 a month. Do that for 5 years. Now you're out of college. Okay, get a better paying job. Now you're going to invest $1,000 a month for the next 5 years. Okay, now you're 28 years old. You make a little more money. We'll bump it to $1,200 for the next 5 years.
Did I stutter?
That's not going to work, Teddy. What was that?
My notifications.
Okay. Why don't you turn off your notifications?
Not my fault.
It's my fault. Then, okay, 1,500 for the next 5 years, and now maybe you're married, you've got a double income and such, and you can invest $2,000 a month for the next 5 years, and then finally for your last 5 years, let's invest $2,500 a month. So we've got 10, 20, 30 years. Now you're 48 years old. If you assume a 6% rate of return, which honestly is conservative, that gets you to $1,020,624. So just doing this with a very conservative 6% rate of return gets you, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're 48. And I think you'll find that you can actually save more than these estimates regardless of the career that you choose.
Heck yeah.
If you assume 7%, which is, reasonably conservative, you can get to about $1.27 million over the same time period. Now, you're only 48, you're probably not going to retire just yet. If you keep doing that, just stick with $2,500 for another 5 years. Now you're 53, you've got $1.55 million. And then at 28, okay, with this same rate of return, $2.27 million. So, $2 million, it's a good goal. What?
2 million?
Yeah. Good.
I want that.
Yeah, it's my goal. It's a good goal. All right, so, the compounded returns are your friend, especially at your young age. If you can start now, you don't have to invest a terribly large amount of money. You don't have to have a terribly high income or anything to be able to achieve millionaire status by the time you're 48, 53, 58, whatever. Okay, now next, and this is financial advice, choose a spouse wisely, okay? A marriage has to be based on more than just love. I'm looking at
Mostly love.
Love is very important. But make sure that your vision of the world and your spouse's vision of the world and your place in it kind of dovetail nicely. Make sure that you have the same general financial goals. If your future spouse wants a large house with lots of stuff in it and a large, nice vehicle, that's okay, but just make sure you understand that going into the marriage, and maybe you're prepared to help provide that for your spouse. My wife and I are definitely on the same page financially. Not always with everything else, but definitely financially we're on the same page. Money and problems with money, that is the second leading cause of divorce in the United States. The first leading cause is infidelity, but you don't need somebody in a video to tell you not to engage in infidelity. Money problems, if you can avoid money problems, if you and your spouse, number one, are wise with money and save money and such, and number two, kind of have the same general goals, you can avoid that second most common cause of divorce. Divorce would be financially devastating. Okay, just imagine working to 48 years old and achieving millionaire status and then having to cut that in half, so that your wife or husband can go, live with their new friend, or whatever the case may be, and you may end up paying money over time, alimony and or child support. Not to mention that divorce would be kind of devastating to your children. Okay, so choose a spouse wisely. Stay together, marry right the first time. Help others as much as possible. Charitable giving is something we haven't talked about, but that should be, part of your financial life starting as soon as you can. Choose a cause that speaks to you. For me, it's hunger. I like to try to help hungry people. I think we can all relate to being hungry. Maybe you get home at 10 p.m. from a track meet and you're so hungry you could eat at McDonald's. Yeah, and
Shudder.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, we all know what it feels like to be hungry, and imagine going to bed and waking up like that, on a daily basis. So, we use a website called Charity Navigator to plan our charitable giving, and I had a charity that we donated to for many years, and then we had to switch. There was a bit of a financial scandal. They got in trouble with the state of California. It's a long story. It's an interesting story, but
Yeah.
but if you can go on that website and you can type in a cause. Okay, maybe it's the environment. Okay, maybe it's world hunger. Maybe it's some sort of peace thing, saving the oceans or whatever. And then you can find charities that address that issue, and they're ranked, based on different financial metrics. How much of donations are actually put toward that cause versus paying for overhead or paying for the CEO's salary and such. It's important to recheck that pretty often too. As I've learned, I would. This is my personal opinion here, but I'm not a big fan of like charities to help dogs or cats or something. And we own a cat and we love our cat, and dogs and cats kind of tug at our heartstrings, right? But I gave this thought experiment to my wife and daughter earlier. Imagine you're at a swimming pool and your beloved family pet, whether it's a dog or a cat that you love very much, is drowning in that swimming pool. Okay. Now imagine that at the same time there's a stranger drowning in that same swimming pool, and maybe it's a stranger that you don't really think you'd like. Maybe they don't look like they share your same values and such. But anyway, who are you going to save? Are you going to save your beloved family pet, or are you going to save your this stranger from drowning? And
both.
Well, no. But see, the whole thing is, Teddy, you can only save one.
Both.
Okay, everybody with a conscience is going to save the human. Okay, we would say, I think most of us, hopefully all of us, would choose to save one human being, no matter who that human being is.
I can think of a couple.
1,000 cats or 1,000 dogs, Teddy. Don't mention anybody by name.
Yeah, you know who I'm gonna
Okay.
mention.
Yeah, well, you better not. Yeah, because we'll have to start this whole video over. But anyway, we all save the one human versus 100,000 cats or 100,000 dogs, because that's how much more important human beings are than animals. I'm not saying animals aren't important; they are, but not even on the same level. So that's why our charitable contributions do not go toward that kind of charity. They go toward things that help humans, and helping the environment helps humans. We definitely believe that. Okay. Yeah, and so how much to give? Well, if you're a member of a church and such, they usually talk about tithing, which is giving 10% of your income, and yeah, that's great. But 10% of what income? Well, my personal opinion is that it's 10% of taxable income. So you've got your gross income, you've got your adjusted gross income, and then you've got your taxable income. And since we get deductions for having children and such, we reduce the amount that we think we need to give to charity. I don't know if that's the right way to do things, but it's our way. Okay. So now I hope this doesn't sound rambling, but the next thing, this is not financial advice. This is just good advice. Honor your parents. Okay, maybe your parents will. Now, Teddy, here's what I mean. Maybe your parents, when they're old, they maybe don't have money anymore. Maybe their income's very low, and if you can help them, they certainly helped you a lot in these last 18 years.
I've told you a bunch. When you're old, I'm gonna have you live in my basement.
I can't wait. But I'm being completely serious here. Your parents have helped you tremendously. Please return the favor if needed when they're old and can no longer work. And then love your children. there's nothing that my children could do better to repay anything that I've given them than to try to give the same experiences and the same love to their children. Okay, next, time's money, and spend time on things that make you happy. There are so many choices you can make to what to do with any spare time that you have, time that you're not using making money. You can read, you can watch TV, you can play video games, travel, play golf, whatever. Choose wisely, okay? Don't ever waste time any more than you'd ever waste money. You kind of become a subtotal of your experiences, and if all you do is play video games, I don't know how interesting of a person you're going to be, and I don't know how much you're going to grow necessarily as a person. So choose your experiences wisely. Okay. Look, I think it's time to say goodbye. I'm sorry that things ended this way. I'm very sorry for you, especially you were a special class, and no, I don't say that to all the classes. Every once in a while, there's a class that
Is better than everything else.
Well, yeah. I suppose so. I would have loved to have hugged you all at the senior send off, and I would have loved to have met your parents and grandparents at graduation parties. And I'm sure that you are really going to miss those things as well. Now, I get to do those things every year, but you only have this one chance. But I'm not going to end on a down note. Look, your lives are about to get so much better. For most of you, this is going to be you're going to move to a new city. You're going to meet all new friends, okay, that have all sorts of different backgrounds. You're going to meet brilliant professors. You're going to experience a lot of things. Your lives are going to improve. I'm not exaggerating. Probably 200%. Maybe in the fall, maybe in the spring. Don't know when. Okay. Teddy, that notification.
I am so sorry.
Irritates me. Okay.
My sister put it on, and I don't know how to take it off. So.
I will help you. Anyway, it's been very nice working with you. A special shout out to those of you who maybe I coached over the years. It's been a pleasure. I'll miss you. Goodbye. All right, Teddy, you can turn this off now.